Okay, good morning. We're going to start, and I'm going to use this recording to try to catch a few folks up with where we're going to try and converge on a couple of lanes. But I actually wanted to invite Jermaine to talk about what privately I think many people think that there could be a better way to try and break up the fragmentation of all of the things that I think we want to do to help our community get better with workforce placement. A lot of training, a lot of academic, a lot of things that are leading up to placement, but they are not all aligned and articulated in any one particular place that I can find. And I'm on a couple of committees and I'm on a couple of organizations that are doing this work, but they're not connected. I might be the only main thread that's there. So Jermaine is a huge cog in what we can do to try and put all of our efforts together to try and get a consensus on where we can get more of our people in our community placed in high growth, high touch careers that, yeah, here we go. Here's the guy I'm looking for. Okay, great. So without further ado, I wanted to have Jermaine and Mariana introduce themselves because many of you probably have never heard of LAEDC and California Jobs First. So Jermaine, if you can take the floor and give us an overview of what you guys do and how we came to be connected.
Sure. How's everybody doing this morning? Jermaine Hampton. I'm the Vice President of Workforce Development and Special Projects with LAEDC. And I have my colleague on as well, Mariana Hernandez, and she is a program manager over our Industry Cluster Development Program. And I have her on the call, not because she's part of our Jobs First program, but more so because digital media, entertainment, and sports is actually one of our industry clusters of focus that we are building a consortium of partners around. We have ongoing industry council meetings. Mariana can probably share that information now in the chat for our next meeting that will be in the beginning of December. In addition to that, we're going to be hopefully getting enough funding so that we can actually have a study and a series of events to roll out some new data and information on the digital media, entertainment, sports sector as well. As far as for California Jobs First, I will put the link here in the chat. But California Jobs First, formerly is known as SURF, California Community Economic and Resilience Fund. And so they just changed the branding. And so the branding now is just California Jobs First. Nothing else about the program has changed. But essentially, the whole purpose of California Jobs First is to build equitable talent pipelines, high road training partnerships that all lend towards a carbon neutral economy. And so there's going to be a series of projects that come out of our consortium that hopefully will align with that data, research, et cetera. And so the pot for the California Jobs First is through the Office of OPR, the governor's office. And so it's a $600 million pot of funding. It's meant to be braided with other funding and other funding opportunities. Essentially, the $600 million is been split and made competitive amongst 13 different regions. So LAEDC, we're the regional convener for the LA County region. And then our fiscal sponsor is California Community Foundation, CCF. And so we were able to successfully secure the initial $5 million planning grant. And that's afforded us an opportunity to bring together over 420 community-based organizations, partners, and entities, both public and private, to begin planning discussions around the California Jobs First process and program. We're now going into actually the catalyst phase of this actual project. And so the catalyst phase really is it's eligibility of about 14 million, and it's to really support middle and last mile projects that again all work towards that carbon neutral economy. So we're talking about job creation, we're talking about training opportunities, some of which can be apprenticeships as well, because that's part of the whole workforce development lens, and so forth. And so we already know that digital media and entertainment is part of all of this, right? And so the idea here is to really make sure that the voices of that particular sector and community are heard, and that does include the arts as well. So it's really arts, digital media, entertainment, and sports. It's all of the above, and we want to make sure voices that are at the table. So we're continuing to onboard partners that work in these areas. We have many already, but we want to continue to gather more. Kevin is represented on our steering committee. Our steering committee is made up of 38 members, everyone from public government to municipalities to private community-based organizations and community leaders as well. And so we're in a good spot. The $14 million Catalyst project, that application is due at the end of November. And then after that, we go into implementation. And then there's a whole nother pot of funding for implementation for the county as well. Implementation funding should be somewhere around about $250 million left over out of that $600 million pot. And the goal that we're trying to achieve is to bring at least 25% of that funding back to LA County. And then from there, because we're really creating a comprehensive economic development strategy, very similar to the LA County SEDS, but it's more so community driven instead of government driven or publicly driven. Essentially, the goal would be to get to 25%, but then in addition to that, begin looking at other funding resources and opportunities where we can basically leverage the plans that we're creating from California Jobs First, and then braid that funding together. So then now you have even a bigger or larger pot of funding that's available to entities across the county. And so that's kind of where we are right now. And so, we're open to questions. I am not the director of that program. It falls under one of my programs, though, that I do lead. The director is actually Charles Johnson. I can certainly put his contact information in the chat if you would like more information. And then really just kind of open the questions now.
Great. And I'd like to hear from Mariana, because we're definitely comprised of students, not just students, but apprentices, pre-apprenticeship programs who are in the arts, media, and entertainment sector. And Mariana, we really want to learn more about what we can do to align ourselves with your initiatives going forward. So if you can share a little bit about your vision and what we can do to learn more about, what we can do to even be prepared for the Digital Media Entertainment Conference on December 6th.
Thank you, Kevin. And good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Mariana Hernandez. And so through the Digital Media and Entertainment Industry Council, we have been meeting for quite some time. And I know, Kevin, you have been part of that since the very beginning. So I think just being involved in each of the meetings, there's a lot of resources that we share, such as the Entertainment Equity Alliance portal, where apprenticeship and internship opportunities can be listed there. So for example, if there's someone who has a training program, students can go on and learn about all of these different types of training opportunities that they might be able to pursue and earn some sort of certificate in. But overall, our industry council serves as a convening of a majority of different stakeholders, whether it's academia, training, workforce, industry partners, to really share what's worked and what hasn't, to provide feedback for those who might need it, whether it's, again, within education or training programs. Our overall goal within industry cluster at LAEDC is to create economic blueprints that will outline key strategies on how do we foster further growth within a specific industry. So in this case, it'll be digital media and entertainment, but the other industries that we're focusing on as well is bioscience and aerospace and defense, and soon to incorporate sports entertainment as well. So these comprehensive outlines will also be in line with a baseline report that LAEDC will publish in partnership with the industry cluster work. So the baseline reports, we need feedback from the stakeholders to be able to understand and encompass not only the quantitative data, but also the qualitative in terms of you and your daily routines or your daily duties within your respective spaces. What do you see as the challenges and priorities for this sector? So really it's providing us with that feedback so that it's as holistic and as inclusive as we create these, not only the economic blueprint, but also the baseline report. We have the December 6th meeting coming up. We'll share a couple of updates. I know, Kevin, you'll be on the agenda. So thank you for your flexibility on that. We'll also have an update on the UCLA Global Sports Forum and a couple other updates that we have for everyone before the holidays. But we meet typically on a quarterly basis. And as long as you sign up for if you register for the Zoom meeting that's on December 6th, I'll make sure to add you to our mailing list so you can get future information.
Okay, great, Mariana. I want to open up for questions before I go into why I invited everybody on the call. Anybody have any questions, suggestions, or comments about what Jermaine and Mariana have given us thus far? Okay, great, guys. The spirit of this conversation was for me to talk to Jermaine and Mariana about what we've learned as a group about apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship. I am, again, an elected steering committee member for a project called California Jobs First, which used to be called SURF. And one of the things that I've noticed with the steering committee, very powerful people, all learned, but I think what's happened is that I realized there is a lot of fragmentation, meaning that there's a lot of silos. And what's happened is I can't be the only person to point out that there's another organization, there's another workforce investment board, there's another, community college group that are doing some of the similar things at the same time without being on the same page to try and funnel some of these best practices into something that can become the lived data and the shared data that will allow us to get better. So what I'm proposing and what I want LAEDC's help is to how we can create some type of entity that can share this fragmentation challenge so that we can come up with solutions on how we can get on calendars, how we can get into some type of proposed way to bring a forum of all these different entities into play so that we can deliver something to a braided effect of getting people to have consensus on what are the priorities. Because in my lifetime, I'd like to see that there's more people getting hired. There's more corporations that are stepping up to the table to offer up as signatories corporations that will hire a talent pool. There's a lot of training. There's a lot of workforce development. But at the end of this funnel, really, there needs to be more corporations who are saying, yeah, we're going to hire some of the people that are coming from this collective effort. So I will state that there are people on this call that I want to give an opportunity for them to talk about what they would like to bring to the table. And I'm going to start first with Dr. Norris Dorsey. Dr. Dorsey, can you tell everybody a little bit about what we've been talking about in terms of, how to focus primarily on the young people that we're trying to serve?
Hey, Kevin. Hey, everybody on the call. So I'm recently retired from teaching business at the Los Angeles Community College District. And over the last 23 years, I've kind of incorporated the real world into my classes. And it has given the students an idea and a chance to actually see what was going to happen once they finished these classes, once they got their degree, once they entered into adulthood, once they got into the real world. And so once I retired, I came up with a way to do that program on my own. right? And I call it the series of professionals. And over the last 23 years, what I have been doing is I've been bringing people into my classroom and just providing real world experience to those students so they can see what it's like to do and work their way up to the level that these people that they were watching. And the behind the scenes, the opportunity to get that one-on-one mentorship with those individuals, because once you enter into the workforce, not too many people are going to help you. It's up to you to figure out what it is you're missing and to provide that in-depth exploratory mentorship is one of the things that was missing. It's that I was seeing that was missing, and it's one thing to have programs and be able to get the training, but it's another thing to be able to put people in front of you and say, "Here's what I did. Here's how I navigated my way up the ladder." And so that's what the program is this series of professionals, and we bring people into to these workshop environments, and we allow them to kind of tell their story as to how they overcame and got to where they're getting to, and it helps the people kind of put their life into the footsteps of that person that they're listening to. So it's been very successful. We have a lot of opportunity to do more. I'm going to in May do something for Department of Mental Health and provide these resources to the community, to those individuals that can't, get to college or, find these typical people in front of them. And we're going to bring them to the people because that's what's lacking. Like, it's one thing to have someone come to you and it's another thing to go to someone. And so we're trying to bring people to people because it's just very difficult here in Southern California.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Dorsey. Just a little context. We're all connected here through my organization, Dakar Foundation, but Dr. Dorsey and I was working with the community colleges, with Kevin Hart, and that's where we met. He's continuing right now to work inside of Kevin Hart's facility and has done a wonderful job of providing a series of professionals inside of Kevin Hart's soundstage. And I think one of the things we'd like to do is to try and come up with a master effort to combine all the things that he's done already to connect to this thing that's kind of the world of work. They call it TAWOW, the Transitional Age Youth World of Work, which is a lot of training, a lot of exposure, and getting people prepared for work. And one of the people that, Dakar's been working with on trying to get people prepared for this is a gentleman that I want to have him introduce himself. His name is Ted Milner, because the last mile is really what I think is missing in a lot of the stuff that we're, talking about in terms of apprenticeship. So Ted, can you introduce yourself and what you do to get people for the last mile?
Hello, everyone. My name is Ted Milner, and for about 35 years now, my wife and I have been running an agency called Executive Temps, which is an entertainment employment agency. Our clients have been Warner Brothers, Disney, ABC, Paramount, CW Network, TNT, majority of the major studios and networks. In addition to that, my wife created a program called ECOP, EICOP, Entertainment Industry College Outreach Program, which focuses on HBCUs. So we have a partnership with the White House organization, but for the past, in the 12 years that we've been existing, for the past 5 years, we've been bringing those students here for internships within the entertainment industry. We had 105 last year in LA. We had 25 in New York. So 2 separate companies, 2 separate entities. But in all that, my main function is more to function as a mentor and a guide to give students an understanding of how to be successful within the industry. Our vision, our goal is far greater than just an internship. And so over the years that we've been employing people through Executive Temps, many are now executives, EVPs, and vice presidents of feature development, business affairs, current programming, etc. So it's more about really giving them the tools and an understanding of how do I navigate the space. I would say in the past, maybe 10 years, but definitely strongly in the past 6, we've been facing a different generation. I call them the entitled generation. And so I have had to alter my mentorship program in making sure that I'm not crushing their spirit, but yet getting them a reality check. There's just some expectations that they have. They're very unrealistic, and they'll crash and burn. I teach a lot about the without compromising your integrity, and really getting those who have a passion to be successful in this career to understand that people are hiring you for their need, not necessarily for your vision and for your dream. Doesn't mean you can't fulfill that dream, but you have to have a conversation about their need, and it's been very, very successful.
Great, thanks, Ted. And I know we don't have but 6 minutes left. One of the people that I want to cite is a professor at Cal State Northridge. I know that there's a Northridge connection with the DME, but she's been the singular source for getting people to work with that car who are, I believe, job ready. So I want to introduce Anna Marie, and Anna Marie Pirsimoni, if you can give us any suggestions or thoughts moving into 2024 of how we can get better with our activities, our workshops. Love to hear anything that you can say about the way ahead. You're muted, Anna Marie.
Okay, sorry, my image disappeared and I couldn't unmute. So now I can see at least myself, if not everyone else. So I'm basically really part-time adjunct faculty there. I came out of a background at AFI that did a lot of professional development, and I model my teaching and my class on that of putting the masters. The mantra from AFI was learn by doing, study with the masters. So that's was a model for me. It started actually with the directing workshop for women, and I moved it into my class on digital media, new directions in digital media. And one that I did I also teach at University of Nebraska at the Johnny Carson Center for Emerging Media Arts. Carson was from Lincoln and dumped a lot of money on that school. So they started this whole center, which I'm privileged to teach. And there I teach classes in narrative storytelling and multi-platform production. So they have to learn how a story is carried from a novel to a movie to a game, for example, or even an escape room. So in all cases, even in those, I have guest speakers come in that do exactly what Ted was talking about. They'll show off their work, what their company is doing, what they do, but also talk about their career trajectory. And the students really love that and get a lot out of it. And very often I match them up. I have a couple that I've gotten internships, even though we have, as a school, there's an designated faculty person who's an internship coordinator, and she does a great job with that. There's a lot of internships that roll over semester after semester with CBS, for example. Paramount, I believe, is also another one. And so she helps to manage those. But these little ones, I had one company that does amazing stuff in augmented reality. It's called AR Wall in Burbank, and they have grown. It's a couple, actually. They're about to have their first baby, but they've grown over the years. So they're not only doing augmented reality, but they're working with studios that are making LED augmented reality projected screens for sets, for backdrops, for sets. They're working with top people. They have taken a number of my students as interns and then actually brought them on as jobs. And not only mine, but Elizabeth Leister, who teaches hands-on production, full-time prof. She's head of the emerging media. She's connected with them now through that too, and they've been great at doing that. KCT, where I used to work, it's changed a lot. They've taken a lot of interns. So internships and apprenticeships can be different. Some internships are, you know, run and go get coffee, make a lot of copies or something, send out a bunch of mass emails. And others really take somebody, KCT was great for that, took them out on field productions, out in the field, and then had them editing and learning different applications for sound editing. And so that's great. That to me is more valuable. And some of those KCTs were not paid. They had maybe 2 that the county paid for, the Arts Commission. But they got so much valuable experience, got screen credit, got resume, portfolio stuff, that it was kind of worth it for those who could sustain it. Others need, you know, the money to live. We have to recognize those realities with our students, that even as they're trying to grow, they have to, you know, make their rent, put food on the table. Some of them at Cal State Northridge are amazing. They're the first in their family to go to school at all. They're raising children. My assistant at CSUN now has a child who needs physical therapy every day, daily. There's some who have elders and some who have both, that sandwich generation. So what we can do to help them figure out how to balance their life and work and still keep going, keep motivated, is really important. Putting them in touch with people, what they're doing, is incredibly important. And getting into those same people and saying, you need to hire some of these. I think just us telling them that, throwing PowerPoints and documents at them isn't going to work. I think it's really critical to try to see where my thing is here so I can share a screen. I can't seem to find it on this Zoom. I do this every day of the week, and I was all set up to share a screen, but I can't seem. Wait, maybe now? Okay, there we go. I'm going to share a screen really quick, and then I'll be off, but I just want to...
Okay, do you see screen sharing capability? There we go.
Here we go, that's it. So that's student projects, the topics, the kind of things that they're working on, hands-on. They sometimes work in these mediums. They could take a topic like Elon Musk, or they could do it on emoji culture. More important is this. If you can see this, these are the guest speakers. And I've highlighted, this is a document I highlighted for my bosses that show the diversity. And that's the other thing. The students need to meet people that are diverse, not just the bosses anywhere else. So Kevin, you're on there. Terrence Coles is on there. Ming Chan has 3 design studios, Pasadena, I think it's either New York or London and Hong Kong. And they're just amazing people. Joyce Cox worked on The Dark Knight, The Great Gatsby. So they see women, they see people of color, they see LGBTQ people, just a lot of people from different countries, Israel, Germany, Indian Americans. So I'll stop sharing and I'll stop talking. I just wanted to show, I think we have to really point our boats towards that a bit.
Thank you, Anna Marie. And I know I scheduled this for 30 to 45 minutes. There's a couple of the people that I want to share with you, Mariana, because I'm trying to prepare ourselves for 2024 and beyond, is how we can synthesize all the things that we don't know, which are really the problems, about what we can get consensus on for the needs of all these people who are in a pipeline, a smart pipeline. Because I think the pipelines that I've been part of are going in all kinds of different directions. And at some point, I really want to start with folks at the earliest possible age. I think at some point, it's going to become incumbent upon us to start growing our talent pool and exposing people as young as middle school. But I had invited one person to be on the call who is actually, again, focused on K through 12. And she's been really just looking over my shoulder as I've invited her to some of these activities and workshops. I want to introduce Shirlette. Shirlette, can you tell us a little bit about, your vision for how we can get our younger people better prepared for Smart Pipeline?
Fantastic. Again, thank you for inviting me. As mentioned, I'm Shirlette Newbell. I work for LA Unified school district in one of the board members' office, Dr. George McKenna, in Board District 1, which has about over 10 high schools and about similar amount in middle schools and probably triple that in elementary schools. And so we obviously service quite a bit of an area. LA Unified is broken up into about 7 districts, and we're one of those 7. And so it's just great to hear about the opportunities for our youth and apprenticeship to be started early on, and just being able to take field trips, I think, for our younger students to be able to be exposed to opportunities that they will be able to make choices further on in life. I can definitely appreciate education in that manner, to where it's real life. And I think mentioned by Norris, just, hands-on learning as well as you're doing, I think is so important for our youth. And so as an educational policy advisor, we look for opportunities for the students within the district to venture and see ways. And so for us as a vision to be able to partner with corporations, organizations, to expose our students early on is fantastic. So as I'm here, I'm just, taking in, as he said, looking over his shoulder, I'm taking in as much as I can, because we want to be able to partner. We want to be able to work alongside to bring opportunities for our students, and then to be able to bridge into to workforce. So as you work with high school students, I remember myself working as a summer program, which turned into a career with the city of Los Angeles. So definitely want to continue to grow this relationship in order that we can bridge opportunities for our students.
Great. And I'm going to probably close this, because there's an important part of this has to be shared with some folks that are an entity. And Mariana, this is really more for you. How focused are you in integrating the Workforce Investment Board into anything that can be become part of the data that we have to share with people about what are the disparities, what are the real critical needs for us to focus on or to prioritize. So where are you guys with Workforce Investment Boards in your strategy?
I'd say we're in the infancy stages. So we have extended invitations to all 7 workforce investment boards, to all of our industry councils, our 3 industry councils. We have gotten a bit more engagement, for example, within aerospace and defense, whereas they haven't so much engaged in the Digital Media and Entertainment Council. So I think it also has to do with their priorities. I know the arts, media, and entertainment is definitely on their radar, but whether it's their time commitment or their competing priorities, not sure exactly why they haven't engaged, but we have extended invitations and we have met with them and let them know really what we're trying to accomplish through these industry councils. And I know that our workforce development team at LAEDC works very closely with them to inform students from like K through 16 about the wraparound services that they offer, such as on-the-job training, and even for employers to incentivize them to hire from these disinvested communities. We do definitely use them as a tool and a resource. But again, the fact that there's 7 of them and sometimes it's hard to align priorities, there has been some difficulty there, but we definitely recognize the potential that there is by bringing them in more closely.
Okay. Well, guys, I think Mariana just nailed it. We have 7 workforce investment boards in Los Angeles County, and there seems to be a need for them to be aligned and articulating their interest in moving their agendas, as well as, making sure that there's some crossover. And I think that that's where I want to be able to start with all of our work. So I'm going to be planning to bring this to the steering committee for the California Jobs First, for the Southern California Apprenticeship Network, which I'm active in several committees. I'm going to be talking about that because they are a workforce investment board. The South Bay Workforce Investment Board has birthed the SCAN initiative. I'm talking to members of LA County's Workforce Investment Board, the city's Workforce Investment Board, and some people from AGC to really talk to them about what it is that they can do to help us understand where we can take all this funding, all of the resources that are wraparound services, and start to really aggregate these things into one repository for us to work from. So that's going to be the narrative for us in 2024, is to try and bring these people together so that we can challenge them to perform in a way where all of our youth, all of our disinvested communities, and especially this new category of opportunity youth. There seems to be a lot more funding and a lot more focus now on opportunity youth, and I plan on making sure that they become part of our room. So if there's any questions, any suggestions or comments before we break, I will be sharing with you guys some invitations to be part of these efforts. So if there's any questions, we'll break. And also, again, December 6th, I'm going to invite everybody to be part of the virtual December 6th Digital Media Entertainment Council. So if there's any questions, suggestions, or comments, let's have them now. If not, then I'll give you guys back to the rest of your day. Okay, well, thank you guys. And again, well, hey, I mean, Thanksgiving is upon us, and I really appreciate you guys taking time from your families to join us. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the side of 2024, because everybody's shutting down until 2024 practically. Okay? All right.
Thanks,
you guys.
Kevin. I appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, Kevin. Thank you.